Hey everybody, we are at the 2024 NFL annual meeting and we are joined by Packers GM Brian Gutekunst. Brian, thank you for the time and how are you?
Well, thanks for having me, Larry. Good. It's a pretty nice place to be right now.
Is there anything at this session that is of particular interest to you?
Yeah, I think always when you go through the rule changes and the proposals, not only on the field but just some of the personnel rules, and that's always interesting and important for us, and so we spend a lot of time on it. But it's always also good time to get together with all the your colleagues around the league to kind of touch base, and as we get into this in the draft season.
One of the things being debated is a different kickoff return rule. Now, you're a football guy. You grew up a football guy. You are currently a football guy. How do you feel about the kickoff return?
Yeah, I think it's become a play that's a little bit non-existent, I think we need to get that back into the game. I think the debate is how you do that and keep players safe as well. Selfishly, we have a pretty good kick returner, so we want to make that play a part of the game. We think it helps our football team. But again, I think there's a lot of ways to do that, and that's, I think, one of the things that's being discussed while we're down here.
Another thing is the hip drop tackle. How you looking at that? I heard some form of it's already been passed.
Yeah, I think it's one of those plays we got to try to get out of the game. It's a brutal tackle that causes a significantly higher rate of injury, and so certainly we'd like to get that out. How we do that and how it's kind of how they manage that on the field. I think is again part of the discussion. But I think keeping our players healthy is a high importance, and that play in particular is a tough way to stay healthy.
Brian, by all accounts, the Packers' arrow is pointing up. Everybody loves the Green Bay Packers again. Does that situation present its own set of unique challenges?
I think so, probably. I mean, I think, whenever, sometimes for me, you just like to be quiet and under the radar all the time. But at the same time, I think high expectations are good, and hopefully our players will embrace that. And the competition will be strong, and hopefully they all know that what they're doing right now and through the course of the next 4 months is going to be exceptionally important to our season. And but I think embracing high expectations is something we've done around here for a long time, and it's good that they're back.
The offseason has been anything but off for you and your people. That kind of situation, has it changed your draft plans at all?
I don't think so. I think we kind of go about it the same way we go all the time. I think it's a very unpredictable thing, the draft, so you got to be prepared for everything, how it's going to fall. Every draft class is different. Some are stronger than others. What we know is we got to be able to help the Green Bay Packers the best we can when that time comes. So I don't think it's changed a ton.
11 picks, 5 in the first 91 players. Not only the potential for additional players, but how much flexibility does that give you going into the draft?
Yeah, particularly having, I think, 5 in the first 91 gives us a lot of flexibility. Certainly those are the picks that I think that there's as much movement as any. And so we'll kind of, as we study this thing and we get a good grasp of it and seeing where this is strong, we might have some ability to move on. But at the same time, picking 5 players and just staying put is something that I'm not opposed to at all.
When all the experts talk about the Packers draft, they talk about several positions: safety, linebacker, offensive line. What do you say to those reports?
I tell you what Ted Thompson always told us and always believed, and we still believe. We have no idea what our needs are going to be 6 months from now. So particularly with the college draft, I think we go into that kind of trying to take the best players available. I think subconsciously needs come into play, and certainly if you have guys rated equally, where you might have some need at that moment, could come into play. But again, where we're going to sit in September and October and November could be completely different. So I think we look at it more holistically as just trying to get the best players we can.
New defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley and the move to the 4-3 defense with as much sub as is being played in the NFL right now. Is all the talk about the need for different kind of players kind of overdone?
Completely. Yeah, I think, We need versatile players that can do a multitude of things. Again, the injury rate in our league is very high, so I think if you get a little too specific when those injuries come into play, it can hurt you. So I think it's been talked about more probably than it should. I think it's really become a nickel league, 4-2-5, and that's the way we'll line up on the field most of the time. There are some subtle differences that we're taking a look at, but at the end of the day, having players that could really function in whatever scheme is out there is important.
Now, the locker room, attitude-wise, is a living, breathing thing. Now, with the departure of Aaron Jones, certainly you lost a great locker room guy. However, having listened to Xavier McKinney, Josh Jacobs, and listened to them at length, they're no slouches in the attitude department, and something I find really impressive, both were team captains.
Right. I think obviously losing a guy like Aaron Jones and what he's meant to this organization is exceptionally hard. I do feel really good about the two new guys that we're bringing in and what they will add. And you're right, every year is a little bit different, and I think your leaders need to step up and really shape your locker room. And I'm very confident that those guys will. So I think we have a very strong locker room and some really emerging leaders in that room, and excited to see where they're going to take our team.
Listening to you talk about personnel, not only this year but every year, I hear two words that come up a lot: competition and versatility. How important are those two qualities when you're looking at guys?
Yeah, and I think you saw it this year. I think the competition within some of our rooms with our young players really accelerated our growth towards the end of the season, and I think that's going to be vital as we go into this season and the years to come. And the versatility thing, I just think in our league right now, what your team is in September is so completely different than what it might be in December and January in playoff football, that if you don't have guys that can play multiple spots, that can fill in when they need to fill in, it's going to hamstring you. So I think it's really, really important, and we've kind of based our kind of entire process on that.
Jordan Love, you look at what's happened over the past year, he's gone from a huge question mark to huge period. How is young Jordan handling those things?
I think he's done great, and there's going to be more challenges for him to come, but I think you got to give him a lot of credit for the way he kind of persevered, the even-keeledness that he had through all those times, and just quite frankly, endearing himself to his teammates. This year will be a different year, and I expect a lot of growth from him and a lot of other players on our roster, but so far I think he's handled it great. But again, there will be new challenges, and all these guys have to be prepared for what's going to come.
Ryan, thanks for the time.
Thanks, Larry. Appreciate it.
And that's it for now from the NFL's annual meeting here in Orlando. Larry McCarron, Packers.com.